Hello, good evening. I hope you're joining us from wherever you are. Thank you so much. Okay, I got the buzz that we are live. How are you doing? Welcome back to another session. This is NairoBits Trust. And today we are celebrating basically the World Youth Day. And in this day, what we celebrate is, the different things that youth have been able to achieve and also like get through the different period of time. And just speaking about the skills that we are getting it today, it's World Youth Skills Day, actually marked annually on this particular day, June 15th, and highlighting the importance of empowering youth with skills to ensure that they have a dignified life. And today I'll be your host, or rather presenter, Alex Oburu, and we'll be speaking about how we can be able to leverage artificial intelligence, basically generative artificial intelligence, to ensure that we have a very smooth and easy life. So just to get started, we can, and also the tech team, please help me put up the slides up. Thank you so much. So this is our session today. Just going through the topic again: youth empowerment through AI and digital skills. Every day, AI at your fingertips. And as I mentioned earlier on, we'll be speaking about how we can be able to leverage artificial intelligence, to be precise, generative artificial intelligence, to get it easier in terms of content creations, in terms of video, in terms of design, and a lot. We'll be speaking about that. But just to give you a bit of context, today also the United Nations General Assembly, basically had a sessions whereby they spoke about the report that they released today. And this report was conducted in over 120 countries plus. And they got responses in accordance to how artificial intelligence is being viewed by the young people. And they've released this report. Of course, you'll go and read it a bit later. And it has basically highlighted how young people view artificial intelligence, the good side in terms of doing research, in terms of, content creation, and a lot of things that I've said, but also raising a bit of issues here and there. Talk about the ethical issues that are being raised by the young people. We'll be diving into this in a few, but let's just get started. This is the introduction. World Skills Youth Day. We are basically just emphasizing that young people really do deserve the chance to have the skills they need to be able to get employed in this particular work. And just to give you a bit of background about NairoBits Trust, basically NairoBits is a non-profit youth organization that champions for young people to be able to get skills, and it's very well in relation to what we are speaking about today. We have been able to train 300,000 young people, and we have been able to also reach 12.8 million young people globally by offering digital skills, coding, and entrepreneurship training with a focus on employment and at the same time inclusion. So just to get started on our session today, and in accordance to the theme of the World Youth Skills Day, is just by starting by a glimpse of the history of AI. When you speak about artificial intelligence, a lot of people just think it is something that started when they were introduced to ChatGPT, but this thing has been starting, or rather has been boiling nicely for a very long period of time. So it all began back in the 1950s when someone called Alan Turing had this question, and he was asking himself, can machines be able to think? And this led to the birth of artificial intelligence. I won't be going through the different things that he spoke about, or how we went from a very narrow artificial intelligence to what we have currently. We'll get into that later. But we have experienced a huge milestones when it comes to the same. So in 1970s, we had like expert systems designed, and these were machines mimicking human experts. So for example, it was just a basic game. For example, it is playing cards. I'm sure you've seen that on machines. And even being able to play even checkers, being able to play like games here and there. That is why you had machines playing games with humans. And in the 1980s, we had the neural networks. Then AI started to learn from data. So it was given a big amount of data, and it was starting to learn from this data and making like key informed decisions. But in 2010, we had like big data and deep learning boom. So basically, this is where, on the same note, just, it got a lot of big data. So it is way easier for it to learn and also like, be able to make decisions on the same. But do we also have to ask ourselves, why is this even important? Of course we do. Why is AI important? And do we have any advantages when it comes to artificial intelligence? So number one, solving complex problems. We are speaking about big problems, for example, climate modeling, and also being able to diagnose diseases here and there. For a very long period of time, it has been very hard for humans to, or rather it will take them a very long period of time for them to just take big data and make informed decisions with it. But it's way easier right now because, we have artificial intelligence, and we'll get into like the different types of artificial intelligence. I'll just say AI because I'm butchering that name over and over again. It is way easier for it to learn from this particular data and make informed decision. The other thing that we're talking about is automating tasks. So for example, instead of you being able to go online and post at a certain period of time, we having different applications that have been, embedded with AI so they can be able to schedule and post it on your behalf. So for example, if I want to make a social media post that will be running at, let's say, every day at 10, I can be able to do all that thing, or rather get the captions, get the pictures. If it's videos, I get the videos, and ensure that I just put this, different content into this platform, and it will do the rest. So it is, ensuring that automations easier by artificial intelligence. On the same time, we can see like chatbots being able to answer questions real time. We have like automated workflows. So for example, when someone just WhatsApp you, this is a very good example because we have WhatsApp users who are also using business. So someone will just key something, or rather say hi, it will respond with something. So these are just simple, or rather basic explanations when it comes to automated tasks. The other thing we can check on the advantages of artificial intelligence is enhanced decision making. And probably I spoke about, the fact that it got to some point and AI was given now a lot of data to learn from that data and make decisions. So for example, enhanced decision making, now we are coming from data driven insights for business and social projects. So for example, if your customers only buy at a certain period of time, and you have an automated, let's say, workflow where they can be able to buy things from, so the system can clearly understand, because AI is learning from everything that is being given in. It can understand that if people buy at 2, it can be able to set, or rather give you informed decision and tell you at 2 o'clock probably you should improve your systems because we are having a lot of people coming in to buy from you. Or even, let's say, for example, if people like a certain post, it has the ability to go through different posts, even if it's 200 or 300, to ensure that, we get it, like rather AI gets it and tells you this is the content that people like. Yes, that is also one of it. We can also dive into like the youth empowerment angle. When you talk about, um, artificial intelligence, this is a tool that is used by entrepreneurs. For example, NairoBits alumni is launching social enterprises. They are able now to capitalize on available resources that it was very hard for them to use, let's say 3 years or rather 5 years back, which where the generative AI was not actually present. So for example, it was very costly for you to start a business because you needed different components. Right now, information is available any single place. You just key certain things here and there. Like for example, you want to learn about how do I even ideate properly, how do I solve this problem properly, what are the steps of design thinking. It can be able to give you that information. In the last 10 years, or rather in the last 1 or 2 decades, it was very hard because you had to go through different websites for you to get information. I'm not just saying whatever you're getting from AI, you should be able to get that and, actualize it, or rather, push it back to action. You can't be able to just check this and say, this is what I'm getting, but you cross-check it. Either way, it has made work very easy for people to access information very easily than how it was back then. And also, like 80% of the graduates secure jobs within 6 months. We're speaking about artificial intelligence from the NairoBit side. Yeah. And as we said earlier on, we also have disadvantages and ethical risks when it comes to artificial intelligence. We speak about artificial intelligence in terms of a double-edged sword. So, for example, we have these numerous advantages. Talk about, collecting big chunks of data and being able to make like key decisions. Now, people can be able to predict when it will rain, when it will. We are likely to face famine, and make informed decisions with this. Even like it can even help you make that particular decision. At the same time, we have different things, because when you look at artificial intelligence, it has been trained on data. And even if before we even jump into these things that we can see on the screen, for example, biasness, it has been trained on data, so it has limited information in regarding to whatever. It can only make decision based on what it has been trained. And we've been having this conversation with a lot of people who will say, for example, if you want to run a business in East Africa, or rather Kenya or Nairobi to be precise, and you solely depend on getting information from, ChatGPT or Cloud or DeepSeek, because it doesn't have a lot of data when it comes to these certain operating areas, it might be very hard for it to give you um, that key information that you're looking for, if it's for marketing, if it's for content creation, because it doesn't clearly understand the people that you're working with. It doesn't clearly understand your problem. It doesn't understand, your customers, where they are, different things here and there. As much as we have a lot of a bit of information, it might be not necessarily. And just diving deep into this, because we face different challenges, and we need to address them. So, for example, biasness. Of course, AI systems often learn from human historical data, we'll say that reflects human biasness, leading to unfair, discriminatory outcomes. And for example, it is hiring an algorithm trained on on biased data. We've spoken about, if it doesn't have a lot of data when it comes to, let's say, East Africa, or rather even Kenya, or rather even, let's say, Nairobi, it will be very hard for it to give you information that you're looking for. The other thing is, we're talking about job displacement. This is, as an AI automation routine, it is very easy for them to just, say that we always post at this time, so we can automate this. It is try to automate it. We are not looking at it from the bad side angle. Of course, we will have, like, according to the report that was released today by UNESCO, it has said that by 2030 we will have 90 million jobs, people who are working in 90 million jobs displaced, but we have other numerous millions that will be coming out, jobs that will be created by artificial intelligence. And of course, it has to come with different things. For example, now you have to understand how to use AI. Now you have to understand how to critically think and do a lot of things. The other thing we are looking at is transparency and explainability. Numerous times it is very hard for you to tell this is how AI got to this particular answer. So we are looking at this answer, and you just wrote a prompt and it gave you the answer. Probably you did not verify it. And you can't even tell that, for example, this is the source of, design thinking process that it got this from. Right now, we have a bit of advancement, and we can get that on different accounts that are pro, or even a basic account. I think for ChatGPT, you can be able to get that. But most of the different generative artificial intelligence in general, you cannot be able to get that. And that can lead you to, spread misinformation to different people here and there. I'm seeing also we're having people joining in from different places. Kennedy Washira, of course, Kennedy would have joined. Thank you so much. I can see Kennedy saying we are in the building. Thank you so much for that. Moses Onyango, yeah, Moses just said NairoBits and some explosive. I hope it's it's explosive of a lot of knowledge. Dreampunk 96 saying AI has now become the daily bread and butter of youth. Awesome tool. Thank you so much for that. We'll be diving deeper into even how that tool is awesome. Kennedy Washira again speaking about, with the fear of AI taking jobs, how can the youth still be convinced that it is an important it is important to skill up. Very well, I agree with you, Kennedy Washira, because when anything comes, and this was given, an example was given in one of the seminar that I attended in relation to artificial intelligence, that we have had different revolutions. So for example, when we shifted from typewriters to computers, a lot of people who did not want to adapt were left out. We are not saying that this is bad, this is actually very good, but we have to also be cognizant of the fact that it has disadvantages and risks here and there. And by learning through having disadvantages and advantages, we can be able to make key informed decisions. For example, how do I ensure that my ChatGPT or my Claude or my Gemini doesn't give a lot of hallucination? How do I even cross-check this information? How do I even write a successful prompt to be able to get whatever I'm trying to chase across? I think that is well put. Thank you so much for your different, comments. We will continue reading them as they come through. And when you even go further or even dig deeper, we have ethical use and safety when it comes to AI. We have spoken about the principles for responsible AI, transparency, accountability, and safety. So even checking on the transparency, we also need to understand how this tool makes decisions. So for example, if you want to just run a basic prompt to get how to even start a business, you have to clearly understand how is it making decisions, so you even understand what choice, or rather what tool will you be using. So if I want to run something that is script oriented or it's text oriented, I am sure I'll be picking a different tool than whatever I will be using to, let's say, generate an image. So you clearly understanding how it's making decision, the data that has been trained by, as much as it sounds very complex, you can be able to achieve more with this particular tool. When it comes to accountability, you can also be able to understand rather credit sources and avoid plagiarism. So you clearly understanding that you use ChatGPT, and this is one of the questions that I will also like to get your answers. You can keep on giving us the the different opinions that you have. So for example, the content that is generated by ChatGPT or even Claude or whatever you use, who owns the content? Is it you? Is it ChatGPT? Is it probably OpenAI? Who owns the content that you generate? That is a question that we'll be reading different opinions from different people. And I think we're also getting a lot of comments. Thank you so much for keeping on engaging. This is DreamPunk96. He's saying, do you feel at one point AI will become a necessity or a human right? I think probably right now we are looking at different things. So for example, AI makes it easier for people to access education, for people to access, let's say, jobs here and there. I think it's very necessary right now in the era of digital, world or digital economy, for you to be able to learn about artificial intelligence, because it makes your work easier. Whatever you can be able to produce in a week, you can do that in a day. So it makes it easier for even teams, let's say even startups or even very lean team, to be able to compete on a global scale. So I actually do agree that it's necessary for people to learn artificial intelligence and be able to understand completely how to use this particular tool to be able to make their work even easier. We are having even someone joining from Maldives. This is Raya saying, live from Maldives. I hope you're not lying. And another question that we are getting here from Brian, he's saying, how can we as youth ensure AI is used ethically in our communities? Of course, this is also a question that we are currently discussing. Ensure that if you're in a certain community and you clearly understand that you're the person who has a vast amount of knowledge when it comes to artificial intelligence, you can be able to share with people, because sharing with people, let them understand that we have these tools. Because even the research that was done by UNESCO, it clearly understates, or rather underscores, the importance of sharing these particular different things. Because when you even dig deeper into the particular report that they gave out, you can understand different aspects. So for example, they spoke about some of the things that, findings, infrastructure inequality, because as much as it seems basic, this particular tool is basic. we have like a lot of people who do not even have reliable internet, so they have not learned about this particular tool. You can't be able to share that. Another key finding they got was gender segregation impact. So they spoke about traditional educating gender patterns are currently likely to be repeated. So for example, you'll find a lot of male clearly understanding this or in the field, and a lot of women being left behind. Of course, this is a very general report, so speaking about 130 something countries. And also like youth engagement, they spoke about youth engagement with strong desire for policies and participation, young people being able to just join the conversation. But what I'll just tell you, Uriah Brian, is number one, be able to share that with your community, be able to also seek a lot of knowledge, and also be able to tell people how to verify information, because right now we are having even different videos being created by artificial intelligence and people go ahead and believe it. It is very easy for you to defame someone, or rather to spread misinformation and disinformation, that it is very easy for people to understand. So being able to just teach your community, share it with your community, it can be very easy as a WhatsApp status, and they can get to clearly understand that. Thank you so much, Brian, for that particular question. I think we'll proceed from there and we'll be speaking the questions as we go by. Now we have got to this particular area that I'm sure everyone was looking forward to, this particular place. And this is, we have different types of artificial intelligence. So when people speak, they only think that we speak about AI. So we have everything is AI. Of course, everything is AI on a broader scale, but we have two specific that we currently have. I'm not sure if we have like the super AI yet, but currently we have narrow AI, which basically refers to an AI system designed to perform a specific task or a narrow set of tasks. These systems operate under a limited predefined set of constraints and rules. So this is very, very narrow. And also speaking about the other thing that will be spotlighting or rather carrying forward is generative AI. So what you speak about, let's say ChatGPT, Claude, and all these different things, they are generative AI. They have the capability to generate new things. So from 0 to, let's say, 1, we are speaking about the content, we are speaking about the text, we are speaking about the image, the audio, the codes, and they can do this by learning from whatever we said behind, or rather in the last few minutes, they're learning from the big data that they have. So if they have data on creating images, they can be able to pick your prompt, or rather your request, and check back in the system and be like, oh, I created something like this, and this person is requesting for me to create a similar image. So I can be able to just pick the different pixel and create something that they're looking for. I think that suffices as the difference between whatever we'll be digging into further. And as we even progress further, we'll just like to give you different things that you can be able to use. As we said, this is a session where you have to learn like a lot, and we are just giving away this for free. So number one, when we speak about content creation, so these are the different tools you can be able to use. Number one is for writing or brainstorming, or even like just creating content. You can use ChatGPT. That is something that everyone knows, but we have other different things that you can be able to use, or rather different tools that you can be able to use. We also do have Claude. This is basically when you're writing like rich, rather long content, or rather long documents, it can be able to also assist, but still the same place where you use like Claude, you can be able to also use ChatGPT and experiment and see what works for you, also depending on the data that you have. The other thing is Google Gemini. Of course, this has a lot of, data backed on it. It's multimodal and also, web connected research. So if you're looking at getting a lot of information when it comes to online, so for example, if you would have searched something, Gemini is embedded into these different tools when it comes to Google, because it's owned by Google. So it's way easier for you to do a lot of things with Gemini. So for example, if you're looking at getting flights to, let's say, to Mombasa today, or let's say getting flights to Entebbe, it will be very easy if you check with Gemini, because it has, a connection of different sites, as Google was the search engine that we are using. So it is equally embedded into Google to make it easier for you. Lastly, we have DeepSeek. and still speaking about the different tools that we can use in content creation. And as you're listening, I am sure that you also have different tools that you use from a day-to-day basis, and you can be able to also share the same with us, share the same with the community, so we can also learn from everyone. So DeepSeek is equal to ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, but DeepSeek is very free, so you can get like resources like deep thinking and even searching the website. You can even give it, like, let's say, a link, and it can go and search online. On the same note, we can just go back to a bit of the comments that we're having from different people. And the person that we have, I think that this is Kennedy Washira, speaking about the concerns that the concerns with artificial intelligence at the workplace is plagiarism. Once you share a document and prompts related to your work, we are basically training the AI. I'll just repeat that again. The concerns with AI at the workplace is plagiarism. Once you share document and prompts related to your work, we are basically training AI. I think Washira is trying to put across the fact that whatever you're doing, and this is something that someone said, like, there's nothing like free lunch. So the amount of data that we are putting, we are still continuing to train this particular tool, so it can even resonate better, because you're telling it, I did not want it, this is what I wanted. So it even picks that as still some of their training model. I think that is basically that can be my reason for having different basic payments, or rather basic features that we can use in these different tools. And on the same note, Washira is still saying, or rather asking a question: how can we in the Africa contribute to AI policies when most AI tools are developed and managed abroad? Thank you so much, Washira, for that. How can we be able to contribute to these policies when most AI tools are developed and managed abroad? It is very hard for or rather startups to be able to actually create and develop and manage these particular tools, because it requires a lot of resources. That is why we are having all the big companies like OpenAI, Microsoft, Meta, being able to create different tools, because there's a lot of money that goes into the servers, every single thing. So that might be one of the areas. But on the second part, speaking about policies that we can contribute, it can be even like signing a petition to ensure that, for example, you have to label whatever was introduced to YouTube the other time, that they cannot be able to even pay people who are using artificially generated content. So it is championing for policies that ensures that people clearly understand, championing for policies that will ensure we get artificial intelligence formally trained into the education system, because right now a lot of people have learned about artificial intelligence, but it's very informal. You doing your research, you're trying things here and there and trying to check that. So those types of policies are things that we're looking at, being able to understand that if this is embedded into our education system, it will be very easy for even young people to collaborate, or even to understand that these are the tools we have and this is how we can be able to use it. I'm also checking out a different comment from Uriah Brand, a question asking, how can the youth ensure their data is safe when using AI platforms? Of course, thank you so much for that, Uriah. I think this question is very clear. So when it comes to you ensuring that your data is safe, number one is, do not give sensitive data to artificial intelligence. You can be given a very good prompt, but leave it at X. So for example, I have a friend called X, and we are thinking about doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is the reason. So do not give sensitive information. Sensitive information can be your home address, it can be your phone number, it can be even phone numbers of other people, email addresses of your colleagues, of your friends, your personal email address. So this is what we term as sensitive data. So even if you are, you want to do something in relation to that, kindly use spaces or X or figures. Then you can be able to take the same amount of data that it has produced and humanize it. Speak about, being able to look at the content and ensure that it doesn't sound like extremely robotic. The other comment that we have is from DreamPunk96. This is, I feel like there should have been a rule book before it was unleashed en masse. At this point, it's a little embarrassing to see how much truly comes from AI. Lol. Okay. Thank you so much for that comment. And please keep on sharing the different tools that you use. We've just covered the different topics when it comes, or rather the different tools for content creation. We spoke about ChatGPT, we spoke about Claude, we spoke about Gemini, we spoke about DeepSeek, and we can also share different tools that you currently use, and we'll be able to highlight and also ensure that people can also start and try and use those particular different tools. So when you proceed to video production, I think video is the one that has been able to grow quickly. We didn't even expect that will be here so soon. How people used to create video was they would go to probably to Midjourney and create an image first, then proceed with the image to, let's say, a tool like they'll go to ChatGPT, create a prompt to create an image, then go with the prompt that they got from ChatGPT to Midjourney to create the image, then move with the same image to another tool to create, let's say, a 5-second video. It can be clean, it can be anything. But right now, we have like one tool that can be able to create everything with consistent characters, with sound, with consistent movement, with everything that is required, different angles, and all these different things. So if we just dive deep into the video production, we have Google VEO 3. Probably this is one of the best currently, high quality videos, and it's also a little bit expensive currently, because I think it's something like $258 or rather $248 per month per user. So I also think that that is way expensive. And we also have like a video, and I'm sure that you can be able to check. On the interest of time, we can't be able to go through all of this. So this is a tool that creates every single thing in one place. Like you just key in a prompt, then it will create a video plus consistent characters plus images. Everything is really nice, like how the shadows are moving, different things. And this also talks about how we'll be able to experience movies differently, because right now we'll have to cross-check and ask ourselves, is this movie real, or did we even was it even created with a tool like Google VEO 3. The other thing we have is Runway, and also has given a lot of good edits here and there. So speak about video editing, object removal, green screen. So Runway ML has also gathered, or rather be able to gain a lot of different people championing for it when it comes to video production. Still speaking about video production, we have Pictory, and the other ones I'll just mention, so you can just go and check them out. We have Synthesis, we have Kling, we have Hyper, and we also have Hygen. So yeah, and at the same time, if we have any other thing that you do, or rather any tool that you can also tell us, I use this tool and this is how I use it, so we can also share it with other people. On the same note, as we go back to the comment section, we have Milan asking, what are the key performance indicators used to measure AI's effectiveness? So thank you so much for that particular question, because this, when it comes to artificial intelligence and the different key performance indicators that are used to even cross-check and say, let's say ChatGPT is really good than something like, let's say, Claude. We have different things that we can be able to check, and just looking at different things. Number one, it can be like their performance. So for example, you give it one thing, we'll check on the accuracy, how accurate is it, we'll check on the precision and also recall. We check on different things, and I just want to mention like the different things that are way easier for people to understand. What is the error percentage, how fast is it, how flexible is it, how can it even use the data that it has to cross-check, like to generate something. So just to be precise, those are the different things that you can be able to check when it comes to the key performance indicators that you can use to check let me use ChatGPT because for me it develops this, or rather, let me use Gemini because it does this. Let me use, let's say, let me use Kling or any other thing that you do use. On to the next one, we have Jason Mecha speaking about I love Lovable AI, my best AI tool. So Jason, if you can also share exactly how do you even use this particular tool, how has it also impacted your life, we'll really appreciate that, and we can get back to you and basically just read the comment. So we can continue with the different tools that we have. When it comes to design, of course, we have Canva. Canva has been around for quite some time, and also it has included a lot of AI features currently. So for example, if you are designing, let's say, just one particular poster, it can be able to use whatever you've designed to recreate something else. So for example, if you designed in, let's say, 4.3, it can be able to give you something you can use for, let's say, LinkedIn, something you can use for Instagram, because we understand it has different, measurements. So you can be able to use this particular tool when it comes to design. It's very powerful, and I think they have a free, or rather a freemium subscription, so you can also be able to benefit from that. We also there's also Dale. So basically, just generating unique visuals from descriptions. I spoke about Midjourney, highly artistic and also imaginative AI visuals. It's very, very good. Of course, also Adobe Firefly. I think this was the first thing that I got to learn when it came to generating of images. It is very, very good. You can be able to also use this. I think they also have a freemium subscription, so you can also be able to benefit from the same. And of course, we have ChatGPT. Basically, if you ask it to generate an image, it can be able to generate it. Currently, I'm sure we have different communities on Facebook, on LinkedIn, people even sharing prompts on TikTok, how you can be able to just generate a design from scratch. And I have like very many good friends who are working in the communication area, who right now it has made it easier for them to just go into ChatGPT and create something that will take a lot of days for someone to create. So of course, still ChatGPT will also like fall in this particular design, and you're very specific. If you have the right prompt, you can be able to benefit from, posting, or rather posting a very well curated prompt, and it will be able to generate a poster for you, still using, ChatGPT. On the same note, we'll just proceed to the next one. This is web development. We speak about different tools here. We have GitHub Copilot. Copilot is also very good. It can be used. It should also fall on the content creation area. But when you speak about GitHub Copilot, it's very good because it has AI assisting you in coding across very different languages. We also have a tool like Durable. If you want to generate website in under minutes, you can be able to just benefit from this particular tool, because you'll be asked very simple questions like, what do you intend to use the website? What are some of the key aspects you want to showcase in the website? Do you have content? If you don't have, you can even generate the content for you. So you can equally benefit a lot when it comes to video, rather web development using Durable. We have Framer that does the same thing, and also like Teleport HQ, which is visuals, AI powered, and also builds the front end of your particular website. So please continue to share what different things you're using in regards to, or rather different tools you're using in regards to artificial intelligence, and we'll be able to share it here. We are continuing to build a community, and a lot of people can be able to benefit on the same. So as we wind up on this particular tools, or rather the tools we have for you, this is a lot. I think you can also just take a screenshot of this particular page so you can have reference. And you can also rewatch this video so you get this particular point. Of course, voice generation. When you speak about voice generation, I'm sure you've watched particular videos on Instagram and on TikTok where they have this sound that sound a bit robotic, but of course it is developed by 11 Labs. So 11 Labs is one of the tools, or rather website, that you can be able to generate realistic and also multilingual voice cloning. They have also a freemium that subscriptions, but at the same time premium one that if you want to do it like long term, or you have like a project that is very demanding, you can be able to pay and you'll benefit from this particular point. Math AI does the same thing. Lovo AI and play.ht, they do the same things when it comes to voice generation. I think that being said, we are having also someone called Steve Omondi. Steve, thank you so much for joining. Steve is saying, Steve watching from New York, thank you so much. And also continued with saying happy to be here. We're also very happy to host you today, Steve. Dreampunk 96, speaking as a youth, one thing a lot of us believe is just keying in a request and using the output that is generated by AI, as opposed to refining the answer to the point where it is no longer robotic. Thank you so much for that, basically a reminder to the young people who are here and they want to use artificial intelligence, and to be precise, generative artificial intelligence. They can be able to learn a lot when it comes to refining, because whatever you produce, it is very generic. It will have, those simple dashes here and there, very long sentences. So you speak about human perplexity and vastness, you can't be able to clearly understand that. This is how I tweak. Ensure that if you read it out loud, it will make a lot of sense to a lot of people. That is how you clearly understand that this is something that is written by a human, and this is something that is written by ChatGPT or rather any other tool they use. At the same time, I'd just like to pose the question again. I don't think I got an answer. The question is, what if we generate any content? Who owns the content? Is it you, the person who entered the prompt, or is it probably that particular tool? If you're using Gemini, if you're using Cloud, if you're using ChatGPT, who owns the content that has been generated by AI? I'd love to hear your different opinions in this, or rather in this particular area. Then we'll get to see how we chart a way forward. As we've mentioned about a lot of different tools you can be able to use, I think it's also paramount for us to cover, or rather just highlight different things when it comes to creating content. And it is very important for us to also master what we call prompt engineering. This is a very diverse also topic when you're just covering this particular small area. As we've said, I've tried so much to be able to rather put the information in a very basic way so everyone can be able to understand, not a bunch of different technical jargons here and there. But when you speak about mastering prompt engineering, we have to, number one, understand what is prompt engineering. So this is just a skill of creating, or rather crafting, questions and requests, and request to get the best result out of an AI system. It is not just asking, it is you understanding, how do I even break down my question so that this particular computer can understand what I'm saying and give me the best output? And why does this even matter? Because when you speak about artificial intelligence, these models, and to be precise, generative artificial intelligence models, they're very powerful, but they depend heavily on the clarity of the instructions that you give. So someone will go and say, how do I start a business? It will give you a very basic output. But when someone just sits down and they say, I want to start a business that is targeting this particular client, they live here, this is what they do, I want to solve this particular problem, it will give you a very clear output, and you can't be able to use that particular thing. So it matters because, or rather, like any other program, AI is based on machines. So the more you are clear, the easier is it for it to even understand you as a person, understand your request, and be able to give you a clear output. And the more precise your input is, the more accurate or useful it will be to that particular tool, and be able to generate, whether you are creating pictures, whether you're creating videos, whether you are creating even text. It will be way easier if you master how do you even share very detailed instructions and requests, so you can get whatever you're trying to put across. A good example will be you being very specific. So for example, instead of just saying, tell me about AI, you can say, list 5 ways AI is helping reduce poverty in Kenya. That is way specific. There's what you want to do it, there's where you want to do it, there's when you want to do it. So there's a lot of these things. And also the other thing is keywords matter. So use terms like, let's say, climate change solutions or youth entrepreneurship. You just being very detailed, rather specific on what you want. You can even tell it the style that you want it to generate it. Your request can be like, use a slang or sheng or formal tone. So this can be able to ensure that you get it clearly with different tools that you use. I have another question here. This is Dreampunk 96 saying, the question is, that question is what can determine the degree of plagiarism when it comes to the application of the data in the real world. Thank you so much. I think you can share more so we can understand. We have Najma Salim joining in. Thank you so much, Najma, joining in from Kiambu. We really do appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining the session. We'll continue and carry on to different ways that you can be able to also learn on the same. So this is when it comes to learning pathways, because we clearly understand that this is very detailed and the world of artificial intelligence is very diverse. You can be able to understand a lot when you are very intentional when it comes to learning. So number one, where you can be able to get this, for example, it is NairoBits program. We have our digital literacy program, which is 18 weeks, and also our advanced multimedia program. We'll have links onto that so you can be able to learn that. Where you can also be able to learn, also it's online. We have Google AI courses, we have Coursera AI ethics courses, we have also YouTube tutorials that you can be able to benefit from. And communities, you can be able to join our communities here and there. So Bitscast, we speak about this particular thing. You can check us out on different, podcasting platform. And I'm sure that we have all those different platforms that I spoke about. Let's say Facebook groups, we have, LinkedIn groups that you can be able to benefit from. Things like prompt engineering, things like new tools, how to even use tools differently. When we have updates, you can be able to be the first person who understands and know this is what has been, brought about. Just continuing to check the comment section. We have someone called Ben Kim. Thank you so much for joining the session. The question that I asked was, how can we, or rather, who owns the content that has been generated by artificial intelligence? We have Ben Kim saying, content ownership depends on the terms and the conditions, since a user can choose whether or not to use a product. Thank you so much for giving that to us. And just to give you like a bit of context, if you generate any content with ChatGPT, who owns the content? Is it you or is it ChatGPT because it generated it? So thank you so much either way for giving us that particular thing. We are having Kennedy Washira saying, thank you, Mr. Alex, for the educational content. It was really helpful to us dummies. Thank you so much for that. Also seeing other people joining in, Fauzia Omala saying, thank you for such a wonderful session. We really do appreciate. Likewise, it was really nice to have you here. And as we wind up this particular content, it's in conclusion. So this is where we have the question and answer. If you have different questions, you can be able to ask it before we close it, like in the next probably 10 minutes at max. So if you have any questions, you can be able to ask, and we'll really, really appreciate that. We have Samuel Matuti joining in saying, thank you so much, Mr. Oburu, for sharing. I tried AI before in my project and worked out very well. Keep on sharing to the world. Knowledge is power. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate you, Samuel Matuti, for joining the session and equally sharing your different opinion. So still the question stands there. If you have anything, you can equally share. We have Dreampunk 96. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Oburu. Very informative. We equally do appreciate you. Any questions that someone has before we call it a day, we'd really like to even learn, or even any comment you've picked, anything that we've left out, we'll really appreciate if you can share that, so we get to equally learn together. As we've said, there's no one who has the monopoly of knowledge. There's always something that you can learn from someone. And they have always posted, is the illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So thank you so much. We are having Iraya saying Ukoju Master, thanks for the session. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thank you so much. We having also here, in your view, we have a question. In your view, what is the biggest myth young people believe about artificial intelligence, and how can we change that particular narrative? I'll just repeat that. This is a question to you, as you also answered these other questions that I've just put across. In your view, what is the biggest myth when it comes to young people believing about artificial intelligence, and how can we change that particular narrative? Yeah, as we wait for people to type their different answers, we'll just give like one key takeaway from this particular session. We've spoken about a lot of things, from what is artificial intelligence to the different types of artificial intelligence, and we spoke about the narrow AI, and equally we spoke about the generative artificial intelligence. We gave you different tools that you can be able to use in terms of content. We said about ChatGPT, we said about Gemini, Cloud, Poe, um, and DeepSeek that you can be able to use. We spoke about videos that you can be able to generate. Talk about Google VEO3. We have Kling. We have a lot of tools that you can be able to use. And as we wind up, we will just like to say that it is very easy for you to think that now you'll have to outsource your entire thinking to the different tools that you're using, but that is not correct. That is the first thing that I'll just like to put out there, that you will never outsource your thinking, or rather your critical thinking, to the different tools that you're using. Otherwise, you'll be risking burning out, or rather you'll be risking, as Washira put it, for lack of a better word, being a dummy. You will not understand a lot of things. So in this particular area, you have to critically understand this is how it functions, and understanding this will be able to give you that upper hand of even prompting it better. We spoke about mastering prompt engineering, and I gave a good example of you being very specific, understanding this is a machine that I'm interacting with, and the more specific, more detailed you are, it will be very easy for that particular tool to even understand what output you're currently seeking. Winding up, of course, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and also my link tree is there. It's just basically linktree link linktr.ee / Alex Oburu, as you can just see it on the particular screen on your screen. So yeah, back to it. I think the questions were very hard. People have run away from that. They've run from that particular question. And just to pick different comments here and there as we wind up this particular sessions, we are having only 3 minutes pending. We are having Milan Makoha saying, very nice and informative session. Thank you, Mr. Alex. Thank you so much also, Milan, for joining. We are having Abdul Aziz saying, keep on going, NairoBits Trust, following you as an alumni. Big up Abdulaziz for joining the session, and thank you so much for shouting out the effort that I've given here. Thank you so much. We are having Kennedy Washira. Kennedy is speaking about the question that we just asked. What are the myths that young people probably believe, and how we can be able to change that? So speaking about the myth is AI will take over everything. AI is intuitive but not autonomous. If you don't learn how to use AI, someone who has will definitely use AI to take you over. Thank you so much for also clarifying that, Kennedy Washira. Just expounding further is, a marketer that learns how to use AI will beat a marketer that does not learn how to use AI. Thank you so much for that. We also have someone else, Fauzia Omala, saying the biggest myth is they think AI will replace them. Thank you so much for that. Of course, if you manage to learn and adapt and be flexible and agile, you can be able to just survive fine in this particular, artificial intelligence revolution that is making it easier for people to conduct different things here and there. Yeah, of course, we leave it at that. Let me just check if you'll have any other thing coming in. thank you so much for joining this particular session. As we wind up, I'd just like to share a bit of our vision, looking into the future, or rather 2030. We are looking at 200 plus digital jobs across Kenya, 200,000 plus jobs across, Kenya, 85% job placement and 60% female participation in this particular thing that we're talking about. Because one of the things that I said, the report that was given by UNESCO, was the key findings that they got were some of it was, in infrastructure inequality, gender segregation, educational gaps, youth engagement potential, and politically, or rather practically, learning demand. And some of the recommendations that they also gave was we also need to look into our infrastructures and also invest into it. The other thing was gender inclusive AI education and ensuring that we share this information with a lot of people to integrate ethical training into the different institutions, because whether we like it or we don't, we are having colleagues who are using artificial intelligence, and we I mean as a company, as an individual, as a team, we can't be able to fall from the fact that they can put sensitive data into these different tools that they are using. So by clearly learning and sharing, and this is just one of the many sessions that we'll be having, we'd like to just thank you so much for joining and being with us for this particular, 56 minutes plus. It has been a pleasure hosting you. And on behalf of NairoBits Trust, I want to say karibu sana. Next time, we are looking forward to very many more sessions like this one. And until next time, thank you so much for joining. Have a nice night.